Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at the area of a triangle again at National 5 level. It's non-calculator again, and in part 2 we will be looking at SQA exam questions. Okay, so here's an old SQA exam question. In a triangle DEF, DE is 8 centimetres, it says. There's DE along there, it runs between D and E. And EF, which runs between E and F, obviously, is 12 centimetres. And it also tells us that the answer to sin E is 2/3. Now, those two lines make angle E there. Okay. Right. Calculate the area of triangle DEF. Now, for that, we need to look at the formula sheet and get the formula for the area of a triangle. You get that, so you don't have to memorise it. Just pop it over here, we've got a bit more room. Okay, now this formula here speaks about A, B and C, but in our formula here we are going to be working with different letters because we've got D, E and F, right? So we know that our angle is called E. So we're going to change this to half times something times something times sine of E. Okay, right, so what other letters are we going to use? Let me see. Opposite angle D is called little d. Opposite angle F is called little f. Opposite angle E is called little e. Don't know that one. I've got D and I've got F though. So they're going to go into their D and F. Okay, now what I like to tell my classes is that our formula, our triangle rather, over here, it's got D, E and F in it. Okay, and see over here, I've got my E, I've got my D, my E and my F in that formula there. Okay. Now this is the point at which quite a few people, they're not quite sure what to do. Okay, and it's an example of another question where people start a petition to say you can't do this, it should have been on the calculator paper, but actually it doesn't have to be. Okay, so D has a length of 12, so under D I have written 12. F has got a length of 8, so under F I have written 8. Now, it's this bit over here that people don't watch out for, this bit where it says sine E is equal to 2/3. Sine of E under sine of E, whoops, wrong pen, under sine of E, right, 2/3. Okay, right, so I'm going to use the skills that we used in the previous lesson. I have got two fractions in this formula here. Everything's been multiplied. I can do the working out in any order I want. So what can I find a half of? Okay, I could find a half of 12, I could find a half of 8. Right, and it doesn't really matter which one you're going to do. I also noticed that we have got a third on the bottom here. We've got 2 on the top, right? But this on the bottom we're going to divide by 3. So if you look at these two numbers here, right, they can both be divided by 2, but is there one of them that can be divided by 3? And that one can be divided by 3. So I'm going to save the 12 for working with the 3. Okay, so I'm going to do half of 8. I'm going to do half of 8 and a third of 12. So half of 8 is 4. A third of 12. How many 3s are in 12? That's 4 as well. And this 2, I haven't used him yet. Okay, I'm going to pop him in there as well. 4 times 4 is 16, times by the 2, 32. So the area, okay, because I'm just looking back at his area that I'm trying to work out here. The units in the question, centimetres, look at everything, is centimetres there. So my units for area will be square centimetres. Right, now this is showing you what you get the marks for. Okay, so the answer was 32 square centimetres. Okay, so bullet point number 1, so this is for 1 mark. You have to correctly substitute in the information. So you have to put in a half, you've got to put in the 12, the 8 and the 2/3. Being careful not to write sine of 2/3 in there, okay? It's just the 2/3 that you write in. And then you get your second mark for doing 32 square centimetres. So a 2 mark question, 1 for the substitution and 1 for getting your final answer. Okay, there's a few notes here. Now this is worth noting. Without working, you only get 1 out of 2. Right, we warn you all the time about this. Okay. Right, so underneath you've got all the different things that people might get wrong when they're trying to work this out, okay? Things that they'll accept and things that you'll lose some marks for there, okay? Okay, right, so here's another question here. So pause the video and try to work this one out. Okay, here's another question. So again, I would like you to take some time to work this one out. Okay, one more for you to try. I think this is the last one. Okay, so again, pause the video. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I worked these ones out myself. Okay, so you check this against what you did. So again, I'm going to start with formula half AB sine C. Okay, so what information are they telling me here? The area of the triangle is 20 square centimetres. Okay, the area is 20. Okay, what else have we got here? AC is 16. That's AC along there, so AC is 16. And it says also that sine of C is a quarter, so we're going to be working with angle, C. Okay, if we're working with angle C, then really we should know the length of BC, but maybe that's what they're going to ask us to work out. Okay, so just look a little bit further down, calculate the length of BC. Right, so it's correct. Okay, so opposite angle A is little a, opposite angle C is little c, opposite the angle B is side little b. Okay, so in my formula, I will be using the 16. Okay, now it's BC that I'm supposed to be working out, and we're calling BC little a. We don't use that in our formula. Okay, so A, I don't know what A is. B is 16. And sine C, that's here. The answer for sine C is a quarter. Okay, now remember, you can do your multiplies in any order. Half of 16 makes 8. Oops, use the proper pen. 8. Okay, now if that doesn't make sense to you, turn it around a wee bit. Okay, now I'm going to work out a quarter of 8. A quarter of 8 makes 2. Right, I've almost got A now. 2 times something makes 20. 2 times something makes 20. 2 times 10 makes 20. So the length of A is 10 centimetres. Now I would say at this point go back and read the question. It actually says calculate the length of BC. Now BC and A are the same thing, but I'm just being careful to go back and answer the question there. Okay. And this is how the SQA chose to mark it that year as well. So again, bullet point 1 is for your first mark, substitution. So putting the 20, the half, the A, the 16 and the quarter in the correct place gives you your first mark, and then working out your answer. Okay, bullet point number 2, working out your answer correctly, BC equals 10 centimetres, and that gives you your 2 marks for that one there. Okay, here's another one. Again, check what I'm doing against what you did for yours. The formula you get in your sheet is a half AB sine C. Okay, I've got this length here and this length here. Okay, because there's 16 on that one and 20 on that other one there. So the angle between them is angle P. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to my formula and use the letters that they've got. Now it's angle P that I'm going to use. So it's going to be sine P. Okay, and if we look at the other letters that are in this triangle, it's P, Q and R. I've used the P, so we're going to have to use side little q and little r. So my formula over here now has P, Q and R in it. So it's set up now, instead of being an A, B and C, to be with the P, Q and R. Okay, so I need to label up the triangle properly. So opposite angle P is little p, opposite angle Q is little q, and opposite angle R is little r. So again, I can go back to my formula. Little q is 20. Little r is 16, and sine of p, does it tell me the answer for sine of p somewhere? There it is down there. Okay, it tells me that sine of p is a quarter. So, whoops, always using the wrong penny, and a quarter there. Okay, so remember what I look at next. What can I take a half of? I could take a half of 20 and I could take a half of 16. Okay, now we've got another fraction there as well, a quarter. Okay, it's just going to narrow things down at all. A quarter, 4 goes into 20 and 4 goes into 16. So it's not going to matter what order I do this in. So I'm just going to do a quarter, half of 20 rather, and a quarter of 16. Okay, so a quarter of, a half of 20 rather, half of 20 is 10. And a quarter of 16, how many 4s are in 16? You get 4. So work out the area is 20. Remembering to put my units on. We've got centimetres there, centimetres there. So when I'm doing my area is how many squares make up the shape. Centimetres, square centimetres. Okay, and again, this is how the marks were allocated by the exam board. Know how to find the area. Okay, it's the first mark there, bullet number 1, and it's just putting the half, the 16, the 20 and the quarter in the right place. And then number 2 is making sure that you get your area of 40. Again, I would just like to point out, no working out. You only get 1 out of the 2 marks. Okay, so don't try and be smart and miss things out. Okay. Okay, let's start this one off. Area is a half AB sine C. Okay, so we've been given this length here, and it's 12. And we've been given this length here, it's got 11. And between them is this angle here. So the first thing I notice is we're working with angle B. So the formula I've written down isn't quite going to work for this because we are working with angle B. Okay, which two letters have we not used yet? It's triangle ABC. Okay, and I've just used the letter B. That means that A and C are left to go in the formula. So I just have to rewrite that just a little bit. Okay. Before I can go any further, opposite angle A is little a, opposite angle C is little c, opposite angle B is little b, and of course there's nothing on that and we don't need to work that one out. Back to my formula, half times, what's the value for A? It's over there, 10. What's my value for C? 12. And somewhere, yes, I spy it, we have an answer for sine of B, it's 2/3. So remember, we just pop 2/3 into there. Okay, so same idea as I've looked at before, half. What could I half? I could half the 10 or I could half the 12. But remember, I'm going to be working in thirds here as well. So is there a number there that I can share by 3? 10 can't be shared by 3, but 12 can be shared by 3. So I'm going to pair them up together, so I'll do a half of 10. So half of 10 is 5, and 12 shared by 3 is 4. And I've still got that times 2 bit from there. 5 times 4, 20, times it by 2 is 40. What are we doing? Area, everything was in centimetres, so remember it's centimetres square square centimetres there. Okay, and again here's a mark scheme. So as per usual, mark number 1 is for substituting correctly. So you have to have your half, your 12, your 10 and your 2/3. Remember, it's not sine of 2/3, it's just 2/3 that goes in there. Calculate the area correctly and you've got 40 there. Yet again, if you look down at the notes, for an answer without working out, you can only get 1 out of 2. So don't skimp on that, please. Okay, that's the end of that lesson there, so hopefully that helps you with answering non-calculator exam questions.